Pardon me.
I make a motion to approve the budget transfers as per the town accountant dated 1/20/2011.
Is there a second? Councilman Gross seconds. All in favor?
I would like a discussion.
Opposed?
To a discussion?
No, I ask for a vote.
No, after a first and a second, there should be a discussion, and I'm calling for a discussion.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
I would like to ask for a couple of explanations. We have on the first page, right after the Mr. Hunn's memo, I have what appears to be an interfund or a transfer for Town Board Personal Services, $1,899. I'd just like to know if anyone knows what that is.
Pardon me. That is for...
That says on here, increase town board personal services by using intra-fund transfer from the MTA parking fund. That comes from the town accountant. As far as a specific on that, I don't have it.
Okay, I'd like to have a little more specific information on it. Justices, personal services.
Same thing on page 2. It mentions that it transferred from the MTA parking fund, so it's the justice's personal services. But I see they don't give the specifics.
I think that, just so that we can look at the top, it says that the following budget transfers are necessary in order to restore elected and appointed official salaries to the 2010 budget levels. So my sense would be that what happened was the town board personal services, my understanding is that although we tried to reduce the town board salaries, we could not do so to a level under that which was the 2010 level. As part of our, what we tried to do is to slash the budget so that there would be more money for other services in the town. So I think that's the town board personal services. I'm going to say that that's what I think that is. And I believe that the justice's personal services is the same. Now, the supervisor personal services, I don't know if...
Well, no, wait a minute. First of all, Councilwoman, with respect to the cuts that you mentioned, there is a cut. It's
Sure.
It's in excess of $15,000 to my compensation. So even though even though the town board is restoring their compensation, my compensation will not be restored. It's cut by about $15,500. Go ahead. $16,500 to be precise.
I believe that none of us were reduced beyond the 2010 level. Is that accurate?
That's inaccurate.
Okay, so you're reduced to the 2009 level?
No, I'm reduced by $16,500.
That's not.
Which
That's the,
$10,000
budget
was my
officer.
gift to the library, and then my compensation was reduced by an additional $6,500.
Okay, really what it
That
was,
was the
what it
budget.
was I believe that what the supervisor is referencing is the fact that as the chief budget officer, that line was cut because that line could be cut under the 2010 levels, but I think that the supervisor's salary remained constant at the 2010 level. And by law, that's because, by town law, we could not agree to have our salaries reduced any further. Even though we had agreed to do it, we were not permitted by law.
Please continue.
The 25,423, though, is that a restoration of 15? I just want an explanation of the 25,423.
Well, maybe we should bring the town accountant in to
I
explain all this. But
I
this
would
has to be
I would
approved
like
this
to do
evening,
that.
right?
Yes, to be approved this evening.
Right.
With respect to
Oh, no, no.
1220.1-A, if
So-
that's your reference.
The town accountant, the town clerk personal services, I'm sure, is because of the same reason that we can't reduce salaries. I think the attorney personal services and the highway superintendent. All right, so the one that needs the explanation is 1220.1A, so we'll move to defer that.
Well, there's also 1410.1-A, town clerk personal services.
I thought that was also
did
because you
mention
cannot reduce your salary. It's the same, it's the same as all of us.
But it's my understanding the town clerk was enhanced this year relative to 2010, which was the only elected official to receive
No.
more than they received last
I
year.
received nothing more than I got in 2010.
Well,
As
that's-
budget officer, you should have realized that.
I do. That's why I'm mentioning it.
Same exact to the penny.
I know we tried to reduce, once again, everyone's elected official salaries, and I believe that's the one point, but I think that the 1220.1-A is the one in question.
1220.1. Well, there's also attorney personal services at $3,958. and highway superintendent personal services at $3,954. And then there are other budget transfers as enumerated. With respect to 1220.1-A supervisor personal services line, that's the restoration of the town board's assistant from part-time to full-time status.
Oh, so what you're now saying is that you know what that is and Mr. Hun doesn't have to be consulted?
Liz, I never said I didn't know what that was.
Okay.
Please, no one's
Okay.
attacking you, so let's just discuss it at your suggestion.
No, actually, Councilmember Yee, I think, said something about the accountant, Ron Hun.
You wanted
What
to
what I
defer
what I
until
said
the
was
beginning.
attached out of, this is a cover letter from the town accountant, and these are normally done at our regular meetings to approve budget transfers. It says, attached is the budget transfers that must be put on the agenda for approval at the regular town board meeting, and it gives it January 20th, 2011, which is this evening. And there's a second one here also, attached with budget transfers needed to be balanced the budget for 2010 that must be put on the agenda for approval of the regular town board meeting.
Right.
So these are, you know, if you want to question each and every one of them, you're more than welcome to, but these are normal budget transfers, because I look at the second page here. It says assessor's personal services, assessor contractual, STAR program, central storeroom contractual, town clerk personal services, town clerk contractual, highway, Scalpino Park, Wells Day Camp, youth programs, tax refunds. So it goes on, and these are budget transfers that we need to balance the books with, and that's why we have it here from the town accountant to do that this evening. But if you need to question it, you know,
Well,
you're more than welcome to, but I don't have the exact answers to these. I trust the accountant to give us these figures at each of our regular meetings to approve them, and that goes along with balancing the budget for this year as well as last year.
That's right. I had contemplated discussing that second section that Councilman Yee mentioned at item 6, but I'm delighted to discuss it now.
I think that it's important, particularly in light of the fact that we have a problem with our finances in terms of increasing budgets, that we question almost every expense that is spent by this town. And specifically, I just brought up the transfer to the supervisor's personal services line of $25,423.
Okay,
If
so-
it's known what that is for, I would just like to hear what it's for, and potentially have a discussion about it or not. I think that that's a large, it's a large revenue, that's a large expense, and apparently it's to bring back the supervisor's assistant, who at one point had also been the town board secretary.
Is the town board's secretary, that's right.
Well, recently I've received correspondence, and I don't believe that was the case, but then again, Ms. Kalpfel, I think we're talking about, had been, our budget had put her at part-time. This was along with cutting other and laying off other people, including our parking officer, who was Bill Reed, the Raynock Senior, who was our recreation director. We, one of our zoning enforcement officers, I think we had Chuck Tesma, Tony Akanekwich, I could never say her name, she was in the building department, and Michael Fox, who's a highway worker. I think probably, if that's the case, and once again, I value Ms. Kalpfeld's services, particularly when she was also the town board assistant. But at this point, my anticipation was that we were going to try our best to get all of these people put back together and not just select one. As it is, I think that the supervisor, certainly there's a lot of people in the offices who can pitch in and who could help out. And I just think right now to add this money into, or to take this money out of the budget is not prudent at this time. So if that is what the supervisor personal services is, I do not think at this time it's prudent. I would have loved to have had more money in the budget to hire more people, and if we're more parsimonious in the use of our monies, perhaps we can. But right now, I would think that that is not the correct way to go. So that's what I think.
Okay, there's a motion and a second.
I would,
Want to defer?
Councilwoman Hulick, I would just comment on that Councilwoman Hudak and myself did not support this move. This was done between Christmas and New Year's, and it just happened, but we did not support this move. It was to restore the supervisor's secretary from part-time to full-time, and that did
The town
happen.
board
And as you correctly pointed out, all the other folks that have lost their positions permanently, we hope not permanently, but certainly for the near future. And so we do have a budget shortfall. We're looking to save money, and we did feel, I believe, Liz, if I could make a comment, including you as well, that we felt that this was not an appropriate move, but it was done by a vote of 3-2. Mrs. Hudak and myself did not support this.
Okay,
If
there's a
I
motion.
could just add,
Go ahead.
what happened with a lot of the salaries, to try to save money going to 2011, we decided to cut all the elected salaries back down to the 2009 level. After we approved the budget with doing that, and unfortunately, we did have to terminate some employees for budget reasons. We found out that apparently it's against state law to cut an elected official salary in the middle of their term. So the only thing we could do is freeze the salaries. So all the elected officials had to go back to the 2010 level. Due to that fact, I then, in speaking with the supervisor, did agree to restore the town supervisor and the town board secretary to full-time. The town's board, the town and the supervisor always had a full-time secretary for the last 3 years and going back before that. And hopefully going in the forward, we will have that position back. So I did support restoring it to full-time because everyone else was going back to the same salary level.
And I would like to thank you for doing that, Mr. Cullen. I appreciate it.
There's a motion and a second.
And I think that it's important that we all know that at this point in time, if indeed that's the case, that perhaps Ms. Kalpfeld can use her talents to also help out in the parking area, because we did indeed lose the parking, the person that did our parking, Bill Reed. He issued permits. He followed up on these things, and now that task has fallen to the tax collector, the tax receiver, who's Susan Tobacco. And interestingly enough, that was one of the offices that were being cut completely in the supervisor's budget. So I, for one, would ask that Ms. Kalpfeld, if she's indeed going to change her title to not only being the supervisor's secretary, that she also be the town board secretary and take over those parking duties. I don't know if that's something that can be official, that has to be done officially or not, but certainly at least it'll take the sting out of that, particularly since I'm hearing that the parking duties have been increased quite a bit, and Ms. Tobacco is in the middle of her tax collection season. So that's one thing that I would think would absolutely take the sting out of this, particularly since
One of the justifications for retaining the tax receiver was to add to her duties the parking obligation, parking enforcement obligations.
Okay, why don't we review
I
this
don't
at a...
We
recall
can
that.
talk about it at a work
Right,
session.
can we discuss that at work? Because right now, the tax receiver's office has 2 or 3 additional personnel in there to assist her. And Ms. Kalfeld, thank God we haven't voted yet to restore her to full-time, but she does not have an additional assistant. So let's just review this before we, task her with other assignments. But
can handle
there's a
this.
motion and a second on the floor.
We can handle that administratively.
Yes, administratively.
Yes. Motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion,
Well, I'm-
opposed?
Well, once again, I've placed my opposition, but I do know that the rest of it, as far as I can see, I would say aye.
Okay,
So that's a nay.
So-
So the motion carries 3-2.
thank you.
Item
who
3,
are the
setting
three?
of meeting dates.
Who were the 3 people who voted for this?
Motion carries 3-2, Ruth.
I need to know who the 3 people
There was no
are.
roll call vote.
I still have to put it in the minutes, Michael. So
a-
can I
It
poll
was-
the board?
No, it was...
Roger, did you
in
vote yes
favor-
or no?
Pardon me, Ruth. In favor were
Bob,
me,
yes or no?
Councilman Ruth.
Thank you. Okay, the 3 were.
In favor were me, Councilman Yee, Councilman Cullen.